Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Les Brown's Motivational Monday Night Call, your place for motivation and inspiration by world-renowned speaker, author, coach, Mr. Les Brown, featuring Mr. Brown and his platinum speakers. My name is Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant, and it is my privilege and pleasure of being your host for the Motivational Monday Night Call. I invite you to connect with Mr. Brown on Facebook, and that's brown.les on Facebook. There you can get connected and find out information that can inspire your life and some of the places that Mr. Brown will be making appearances. You can also visit lesbrownuniversity.com, where you will be able to go ahead and get some extra special goodies from Mr. Brown himself and the First Family of Motivation. And if you want to go out and share your story and build your platform and start your coaching, you could also visit the lesbrowninstitute.com for more information on how to join our family. So we thank you for taking time out of your Monday to be here with everything going on in the world. We know that each moment is a blessing. Today, 9/11 in this country is a day that none of us will ever forget, that lived through what happened on that day, and truly a reminder of the gratitude that we should have for the first responders and all those who protect the freedoms that we have. And of course, we extend our love and our prayers to every household and family that's been affected by Hurricane Harvey and now Hurricane Irma, that we can just truly be beacons of light and hope in a very troubling time, and know that we can be the change that we seek as we see people coming together, helping one another, and just realizing how important the human life is. So welcome to the call, and guess what, everyone? I have a surprise for you. Mr. Brown was able to coordinate with his travel schedule to be here live on the call, so you still have a minute or two if you want to text it out, tweet it out, post that Mr. Brown is live with us tonight. Mr. Les Brown, how's that microphone working for you tonight?
It's doing better than good and better than most. How are you?
I am great and grateful, and hearing your voice just makes me even better.
All right, and I feel the same way. And I just want to thank you for the great work that you're doing. And I encourage people to come see you when we go to New York. We'll be there on October the 18th. Am I correct?
Correct. I'm going to make that announcement. Les Brown in NYC. You'll be able to get your tickets before they are sold out. I can't wait for you to get up here.
Yes, I'm really hungry to get there. Let the record show. I love New York. Yeah. And this is a day that we are not only looking at and remembering the lives that were lost on September the 11th, but we are also taking the time to reflect on people who are going through some tough times because of Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irma. And also there's another hurricane I understand is forming called Hurricane Jose. And so I want to talk to you about, and I was thinking, I had a conversation with my daughter, Ona, this morning, and she said, how do you think about your dream when somebody's been snatched out of your life, or because of some natural disaster by Mother Nature that you lose all of your material possessions? How do you dream? How do you have goals when you're running for cover? I said, Ona, those are very good questions. I said, what's the answer? And she said, oh, I haven't gotten there yet. I said, oh, thank you very much. So I want to talk about that. What do you do? You know, my son Calvin and I, Calvin, that I've been asking you to pray for, that he would have a healing, who had a stroke, and the cells between his esophagus and his brain have shut down temporarily, and we're using all types of methods and techniques to activate those cells. He's being fed by a tube in his stomach and lost over 100 pounds. And Calvin and I had a dispute But when I heard that my son was going to be in the path of Hurricane Irma, he lives in Jacksonville, and downtown Jacksonville had flooded. And I saw this reporter who said that she was in 3 feet of water and that the water would get as high as 6 feet. I forgot all about the disagreement and the argument that I had with my son. And I called immediately to find out how he was doing and how he was faring in the weather. And what I thought about, that many times when we have arguments and disputes with someone that we love, when tragedy strikes, all of that goes out of the window. If it doesn't, it should. When tragedy strikes, we come together and start calling people who mean something to us, who's important to us, to see how they're doing. When tragedy strikes, I think that it prompts you to begin to do 3 things, particularly after you go through it. Number 1 is to reflect. Start thinking about the people that mean something to you. And you reflect and start thinking about what really matters. What really matters to you? And when you think about that, I don't think your material possessions matter that much. I heard people crying and talking about they lost everything. And I was to say to them through the television, but you're still here. You lost all your material things, but you're still here. I know someone who's lost someone who meant something to them in a storm. And that's different than losing everything in your house. That's different when you lose your material possessions or you come outside and your car's been picked up from non-payment. That's different. But if you're still here, if you've not suffered some crippling, disabling accident, you're still here. You still have your right mind. Embrace that. Strengthen what's left. And reflect and activate a spirit of gratitude that you're grateful. Be thankful for what's left. Take a deep breath if you made it, because that's important. Gratitude, things that we take for granted. I'm thinking about the challenge that I had when I was speaking on stage from a wheelchair. And because of sciatica pain, I couldn't lift up the weight of my body. Because of the pain, I couldn't stand up on stage and walk back and forth as I have been accustomed to doing. Because of the pain, I couldn't put myself in the bathtub and get out. I needed help to get in and to get out. And now things that I take for granted, I'm thankful. If I wake up and have a pain-free morning, I'm thankful. I'm grateful for the ability to see, to hear, to move, to be able to voice my dream and to inspire and to motivate people. I want you to think about what is it as you reflect on your life that you're grateful for. And I've just started something that I'm doing. I write down each day 7 things that I'm grateful for. 7 things, the relationships that mean something to me, the friendships that mean something to me, the blessings that come my way. I met someone in a shopping mall, and he and I began to to communicate. His name is Ray, and I really considered it a God moment. I'm wearing a shirt that says to boycott the NFL, the National Football League, in support of Colin Kaepernick. And this guy, he said, I'm down with you, brother. And he and I started a conversation, and it seemed like We have known each other forever, and we exchange information, and this is a new friendship that I'm very grateful for, who will be able to be a blessing to my granddaughter. His name is Ray. He has an interesting website. It's called Ray at crimebydesigns.com. I said, that's an interesting website. But I'm beginning to focus on things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that I was able to survive Irma and Harvey. And some of you listening should be grateful that it didn't hit your city, that you did not go through the devastation of what Houston went through, or the devastation what other cities have endured, what Miami and Florida is going through. And so reflect on your life and think about when you go through a challenge, whatever that might be, because there are all types of hurricanes in life that you're grateful for. The next thing is to refocus, marinating ourselves in it and continuing to look back. We can become paralyzed and stuck. And as fast as we can, we have to not only reflect on what matters and what it is that we're grateful for, but to refocus our mind about what is it we want to do. We don't know how much time we have left. I was going to reach out to a young man that I met at Fox TV who lost his job. And in the process of reaching out to him, I heard the news that his son died as well. I mean, to lose your job and then your child dies, who's in college. Wow. Bam, bam, back to back. And I know what it is to have back-to-back storms in your life. When my talk show was canceled, I went through a divorce from someone that I love very much. And my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer and passed. And my best friend, Boo, was waiting on a liver transplant, and he died. And during that time that I was also diagnosed with prostate cancer. I got back-to-back blows. And when you go through that it's a time to get still and to reflect and to strengthen what's left, and then as quick as you possibly can to refocus your mind, because you can get stuck for a period of time. I got stuck. I was ashamed and embarrassed that my show had been canceled. I was ashamed and embarrassed that I talked to people about being successful, and I wasn't able to make my marriage work. And so as you look at your life and look at the things that you want to do, that refocusing when you've gone through something is very important, because if you continue to look back and talk about it and focus on it, it will drain you emotionally and spiritually. And it will draw all the energy out of you. You know, Helen Keller says when one door closes, another door opens, but most of us spend so much time looking at the closed door that we don't see the open door. What are those new opportunities that life is presenting us that we can begin to refocus our mind, our time, our energy, and our spirit, and finding our purpose and new meaning in life? And the third thing is, not only must we reflect on what really matters and strengthen that and refocus our minds on the new chapters in our lives, that we have the power to write a new script, but we have to recalibrate. We have to ignite our spirit. That when I went through my divorce, I parked for a while. I parked. When my mother passed from breast cancer, that was another blow. I parked. When Boo died, I was holding my best friend's hand and saw him when he took his last breath. And I remember the door in the hospital room opened, and his mother said, "Come in, Holy Spirit, and take my boy." I froze, and I parked. And those back-to-back blows for a period of time, I couldn't think about anything but them, two people that that caused me to be who I am. My mother and my best friend, Boo, that we were together and inseparable from second grade in elementary school at Douglas Elementary School in Miami, Florida, in Overtown. And so it took me some time to recalibrate, to connect with my energy. It took me some time to find my center, to find my strength. I remember, and I'm just recalling an engagement I had in Washington, D.C., 2 weeks after I had eulogized my mother. And I thought I was emotionally ready to handle it. And I lost it. I lost it in the middle of my message in the pulpit a Sunday morning. And I mentioned my mother, and one of the things I train speakers, never, ever tell a story that you don't have the emotional strength to handle, because the pulpit is not a place for therapy or the stage. And so I realized that I needed to do some more internal work, that sometimes life can slap you senseless and you don't know which way is up. And so reflecting, refocusing, and recalibrating, those are 3 steps I feel that will empower us to recover from the hits of life, because they're going to happen. I don't care who you are. I don't care how beautiful you are. I don't care if you tithe every day or every Sunday. I don't care if you pray all the time. You will not escape. Life is going to happen to all of us. I remember asking God for a sign. If you are real, give me a sign. I've never asked you this before. Give me a sign. Let my mother live. And she died. And the only way that I was able to gather my strength and maintain my faith, I remember the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and a bad Negro. Excuse me, Shadrach, Meshach. I'm sorry, I got problems. But anyhow, I remember when they were talking to Nebuchadnezzar, and he talked to them. He wanted them to bow, and he said, "Oh, king, listen, we will not bow. You might kill us, but if it be so, we still won't bow. You can do whatever you're going to do, whatever threats you have, whatever wolf tickets you're selling, but we're not going to bow." And that meant to me that I'm not going to bow to whatever hand that life has dealt me, that even though I wanted my mother to live and I knew God had the power to give me that, to grant me that request, I still will not bow to not having faith. I still will not bow to depression and despair and feeling sorry for myself and being angry. I still won't bow. And so I feel that as Willie Jolly says, that a setup is a setback. So a setback is a setup for a comeback, that we have comeback power, that in spite of what we've gone through, in spite of what we are dealing with, in spite of what we have lost, we have comeback power. In spite of the defeats, in spite of the rejections, in spite of the failures and the devastation and all of the things that life can throw at us. Willie was right. Setback is a setup for a comeback. We have comeback power. Must remember, it's easy to say, "Oh, I know he'll never leave me nor forsake me," when our bills are paid and the car hasn't been repossessed and our home hasn't been foreclosed on, and we have our health and our children are healthy. It's easy. It's easy to have faith and say God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. Yeah, right. But when life knocks on the door Yeah. What you got to say now? What do you have to say now? You lose your job. You lose your health. You prayed. I remember sitting in University Hospital, and they gave me an MRI. And I remember the young man coming down the hall to meet me, the radiologist. And he said, you know, and he had tears in his eyes. Man, he said, I was in a dark place, and you helped me. You helped me. And he said, and I was praying. When I did your MRI, I was praying that I didn't see anything but just you being cancer-free. And he said, I don't have good news. And I said, my brother, you just gave me some good news. Number one, you said that my voice, my story, helped you come out of a dark place. And you're here. And if there's anyone that I want to deliver this kind of news to me, it would be someone who I know loves me, who cares about me, and who does not just see me as another person here. And the place that I'm living my life is judge not according to appearances. That sheet you're holding in your hand does not determine my prognosis. It might reflect a diagnosis, but God determines my prognosis. It is well. All is well, because I know he'll never leave me nor forsake me. And that's where I stand. And we both embrace each other with tears. That tears of gratitude. I said, man, I'm a fighter. I'm not surrendering to this. I'm going to kick cancer's butt. Trust me on this. I'm shining my shoes now. And I truly believe that life is a fight for territory. And we must fight a good fight with whatever we go through. I truly believe that life is a fight for territory. And once you stop fighting for what it is you want, that's peace of mind, that's your health, that's your relationship, that's your children, that's your future, your healing, whatever you stop fighting for, what you don't want will automatically take over. And my mother didn't raise a punk, she raised a fighter. And I say to you, it's in your DNA, whether you realize it or not, whether you agree with me or not, that there's a presence, there's a power in you. Greater is he that is in you than he that's in the world. The adversities, the setbacks, the defeats, the devastation. Yeah, you got it like that, whether you know it or not. You're made in the likeness and image of God, and you've been given authority and dominion over everything. Didn't say some things, over everything. Now, as my mother would say, put that in your pipe and smoke it. You have something special. You have greatness in you. Reflect, refocus, recalibrate, recover. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Stacy?
I know that's right. Put that in your after smoking. It is.
That's what Baby Brown would say. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. My mother was something else. Oh, Jesus, she was something else.
But she spoke the truth, and it's so true. As I tell you what you said, truer words have not been spoken because you're going to go through some things. I just had to hold my mule, as one of my girlfriend's mothers would say when my website was hacked. So, all sorts of crazy things happen, and you just put it all in perspective, and you do exactly what you said. Reflect, refocus, recalibrate, and recover. Recover. Look, see, I was about to say
rejuvenate.
Redo. Yeah, exactly. Because that's something that I did. I took a break to rejuvenate after some things happened because we live in a life where, as you said, Les, we're not exempt, but we have to choose to not stay stuck in repeating the same old story in our head and be able to move forward. I mean, that's a powerful word. And as you talked about Ona posing that question, I had a few people just finding it very difficult to deal with their day-to-day life because they've been watching the devastation and they're just so sucked into everything that they got paralyzed. Said, I can't function, I can't work, just watching people and their lives be destroyed. And I said, well, that's not going to help change, but what you can do is organize some relief efforts, take an action and not just get stuck in the feeling of being hopeless or thinking that you're hopeless. And your message tonight is so timely because a lot of people all across this country are just in a state of quandary and they need to know what to do next. And you just gave them no more excuses because there's always something to be grateful for. Once there's life, there's hope. And as you said, people are still alive. You might lose property or be displaced, but you're alive, you're breathing, you can rebuild. But what we can't do is recreate your life.
Absolutely. And I want to talk about refocus. Something just came to me. I found myself glued to the television and obsessed with this crazy man out of North Korea. This little young chump that happened because of a sperm. He was born in North Korea. Had he not been the sperm from his father, he'd be a kid somewhere in a basement playing video games. But now this little fat chump has his hands on nuclear weapons. And so I found myself looking at and monitoring the wolf tickets between him and the president. And getting nervous saying, are these two people about to annihilate the planet? Because with nuclear weapons, it doesn't take much for a crazy person to push a button. And then I had to ask myself, what can you do about this? What can you do about how is this serving you? Monitoring this, reading what the head of North Korea is saying and what President Trump is saying. Does that help you? Is it purposeful? What meaning and value is it bringing to you? And I found myself sucked in with all the weather reports. And I had to stop, had to back away and say, well, I'm going to do what I can to preserve my mental bandwidth. There's some things I just don't need to let in. There's certain things. I don't watch violent movies. I don't want to watch or hear about any negative, tragic things. I remember that play, Don't Bring Me No Bad News. I was concerned about my kids and grandchildren in Jacksonville and my sister and niece and nephew and my brother in Miami, and that's natural. But I had to begin to scale down my exposure to negative news because it was robbing me of my peace of mind and my energy. And I had to admit it wasn't helpful to me. I'm going to see the movie for the second time, Girls on the Trip. Have you seen that movie?
It is hilarious. I absolutely love that movie. I laughed so hard I thought a piece of my
I did too. I mean, I love that movie. I'm going to see it a second time today. Okay, my daughter Savannah, she religious, but she could get past the cursing. It was real good. It was done real tactfully and tastefully. I enjoyed, I tell you, I enjoyed that so much. And so I said, I'm going back in. I'm going to laugh some more. That got my tickle bone. I enjoyed that. That movie, and I'm going back again, and I'm probably going to see it another time too because I enjoyed it so much. Of that new young comedian, oh my God, I can't think of her name, but she was phenomenal. And so I'm focusing on things that make me laugh and make me feel good, and I encourage all of you to do the same thing and just write down 7 things that you're grateful for each day. And at the end of the evening, write it down and think about it and experience the emotion of it and go through the next day and decide that you're going to be a blessing to someone, pay somebody a compliment, write somebody a letter, make somebody a phone call to somebody that you love, and just make each day special. Get up tomorrow morning and say, this is a special day. I'm going to be a blessing to somebody. Somebody's going to be a blessing to me. And I'm open and receptive to all the goodness that God is going to bring in my direction. And go through the day with that kind of spirit, because that's who we have to be for those of us who have faith, but for those of us who know the power of expectation and the magnetic power of our thoughts to attract the things that we are focused on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's no better way to end our call with everyone. Here's your directive. We're going to put a replay of this call on brown.less on Facebook. That's brown.less. And we want you to share your 7 things that you are grateful for and what impacted you from Mr. Brown's talk tonight. So that's giving you an action to do, something for you to focus on.
Oh, I would appreciate that. And that would be a blessing to me to read your comments. Thank you for that. Flesh and blood didn't reveal you, but my Heavenly Father, which art in heaven.
Absolutely. And you were trying to get the name of the young lady from the movie. Tiffany Haddish is her name.
Yes, Tiffany Haddish. Oh,
Tiffany
yes,
Haddish.
She was a bad girl. I love her. She wore that banana out. I'm sorry. Help the Lord. I'm a baby Christian. I'm a baby Christian. I need prayer. Y'all pray for me. You hear? Oh, my God. Okay. Okay, I'm going to be good. My medication went off. Let me hang up now. My medication went off. Thank you so much, baby. I love you.
Love you more. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see Les Brown live with me, we're going to cut up together with the rest of a powerhouse lineup. Owner's going to be here, John Leslie, and that's October 18th of this year. Go to lesbrownnyc.com. That's lesbrownnyc.com to see Mr. Brown live and in living color. And when you talked about that play, Don't Nobody Bring Me No Bad News, that was one of the first plays I saw. Your Arms Too Short to Box with God. So you brought back memories to me, Les, on that one. So, ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to hearing and, well, not hearing this time, seeing your comments. So stand by within the next 20 minutes or less. This replay will be on brown.less. That's brown.less on Facebook. And we would love to know your comments from tonight's call, as well as the 7 things that you are grateful for. So this is Dr. Stacey N.C. Grant. It's been a pleasure being your host tonight. I thank you for taking time out of your Monday night schedule. Remember to find ways that you can be a help to everyone that's been suffering from Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma, and we don't know what's ahead with Hurricane Jose. And as we remember and reflect on the lives lost on 9/11, a lot of things to put us in the frame of mind that Mr. Brown talked about tonight. Reflect, refocus, recalibrate, and recover. So God bless you all, and we look forward to being back on with you again next week, same time, same place. This is Dr. Stacey signing off. And if you want to connect and send me an email, just go to actionbook.com. That's action, ACTION, book.